Right then, this is a quick walk around video for an absolutely stunning car. This is a Lexus IS300 hybrid and it's the F Sport model. This particular car has covered 97,000 miles, has a full Lexus service history all the way through, right up to the service we've literally just done. The car, for the mileage, is in absolutely lovely condition. They are a really handsome car. I just think they've aged unbelievably well, especially compared to their competitors. Front of the car, really striking looking design, very clean and tidy with no cracks or condensation in those lenses. Bonnet, again for the mileage, is incredibly clean. There will be the odd tiny little stone chip, but they are few and far between. Near side, absolutely like a mirror in the panels. I can't see any obvious indentations. Near side front alloy, the one that generally takes all of the bashing. I can't really see a mark on there. Coming out of the panel looks absolutely lovely. Near side rear alloy, again, really good. Coming around the back, again, really nice condition. Going around to the bumper. Bumper, again, just some very light brush marks, most of which was just literally just T-cut off. But it's point of the video to show anything I possibly can. Offside, again, incredibly clean in the panels. Offside rear alloy, really clean. And the panel work is really nice. I did see, and I'm going to pause the video in a second because I did see something and I want to try and pick up on it. Bear with me. Sorry, here we are. I mean, this is tiny, just a couple of minuscule little nicks and marks just there, but I mean on the rear near side bumper, but minuscule. Coming to the back of the car, really good sized boot, as you'd expect, beautifully finished, and again for the age of the car, incredibly clean. Coming to the back, half leather interior, and it has been kept beautifully. Coming to the front and the passenger side, and very clean and tidy. Passenger seats been given absolutely minimal use. Finally come to the driver's side, again very clean and tidy. Footwear is really nice. There is, by the way, a full set of Lexus mats for the car. I forgot to put them in. So just on the bolster there you can see tiny patch. That's the only thing. I mean, again, given the mileage of the car, they normally say the bolsters are fairly heavily worn, but it is on there. Finally inside the car, engine's running as always, so I have the dashboard illuminated. Wonderful interior it is, and again in fantastic condition. Sat nav, as you can see, working perfectly there. Pop the car into reverse, you can see again camera, which isn't standard on them by the way, again working exactly as they should, or it should rather. Really has been kept really rather nicely. And come across the main dash binnacle here, hopefully you can see 97,269 miles. And no warning lights on the dashboard at all. That's the screen you get, by the way, when you're in eco and normal mode, and that's the screen you get when you're in sport mode. But it has been kept, as I said, absolutely fantastically. Again, the only wear, drivers, that's what the steering wheel, you get a tiny little bit on the outside edge, and where ring marks, that kind of stuff. But I'm nitpicking because, you know, for the mileage the car's done, and compared to its new price these days, it is an absolute bargain. Finally, just to show you, owner's manual pack and lock and wheel nut key, all here and present with the car. Right then, this is a quick road test video, and this is for a Lexus IS300, and it's the F Sport model, obviously hybrid version. Car's registered VK14LFP, and with a mileage of 97,262 recorded. The reason for all of our videos, and as I always say, especially this road test section, is to ensure that if anyone's online looking at any of our cars, they get to see the very car advertised actually in operation. The reason being is that, like lots of people, have been to see cars which looked absolutely fine in photographs or description, but only to get there and find out it's got an obvious fault that shows up when you drive the car. So hence that's why we do it. Also done on these very quiet country roads in this absolutely lovely part of Gloucestershire. This actually forms part of the road test route we take our customers on, and the hope is then that it'll be representative of what you'd feel yourself should you be offered a test drive in the car. So coming to the car, as you'll know from the advert hopefully, it's been wonderfully looked after. Full Lexus service history right up to the service we've just done, and that service, by the way, is done on time, not on mileage, because it certainly wasn't due. But as soon as you drive the car, you can kind of feel the investment that someone's put into the ownership of the car, because we've got what I'm driving currently, an identical car to this in lots of ways, but done half the mileage, and it feels exactly like this to drive. It feels absolutely as tight as a drum. But as always, just going through the obvious parts of the car, starting with the engine and hybrid system. So you press the power button, the car generally starts silently into battery mode. This is, as Lexus nowadays refer to it, a self-charging hybrid. The reason they refer to it as that, of course, is that unlike some sort of plug-in versions or pure electric cars, there is no range anxiety as such, because the only range anxiety, it's a big tractor and I'm going to lose the argument. Just pull it in here a sec. Let's get there. It's just the parking sensors, by the way. Yeah, basically, you're going to run low on fuel. That's all you're going to do. You can stand at a pump for about 2 minutes and off you'll go again. There is no running out of battery. If the battery recharges every time you back off the throttle and hit the brake pedal. So in that sense, it requires, you're going to drive the car literally as any normal petrol car. So there's nothing different in that sense. Incidentally, there are no warning lights on the dashboard at all related to the engine or any other part of the car. Temperature gauge just over a third, which is exactly where it's meant to be on one of these Lexus cars. The whole experience is extraordinary. For those who haven't driven one of these before, what every single person that drives them comes back is amazed by just how smooth, how quiet, how unruffled it is by comparison to virtually any of its competitors. And the classic is, when people come to a stop, like now, normally with a normal conventional gearbox car, you'll kind of feel it going down the gears, and then when you go to pull away, it can feel sort of slightly clunky, especially doing town driving in and out of traffic. Whereas this, because it's CVT with the gearbox, and it generally uses a lot of electric to pull away, it's so serene, so smooth. I use the word seamless very carefully, because that's how it feels. You accelerate and it just gets you there with doesn't grate in any way. It's incredibly well done. Engineering is astonishing on it. And the engine, by the way, hybrid system can be used in 3 different modes. The little button down here, turn or knob rather. Generally, when it starts, it normally defaults into normal mode unless it's configured differently for any reason. If I twist to the left, I'm now in eco mode. It tells me on the dashboard there. Just press it back down, back into normal, and then if I twist to the right, suddenly a rev counter appears magically on the dashboard, kind of a bit of red hue going around it, immediately you can feel a difference in the throttle response of the car. It's much keener to pick up and go. Not that it's sort of found wanting in the lower modes, in all honesty, but it's a simply brilliant system. It really is, and the reliability of them is astonishing over sort of huge mileages. But what amazes me when you're driving the car is just how quiet and smooth these things are. Coming to the steering and chassis, steering of the car is really nicely done. Obviously rear wheel drive, so there's no drive shafts tugging at the steering of the car. I always marvel at these cars how good the front end of the car is. It's keen to change direction without lots of body roll, and the steering is a major part of this. It just, the turn-in's lovely, it's quick, it also, by the way, tracks dead straight. There's no vibrations at all at the speed, any speed up to the legal limit actually. But the steering, again, the weighting, it's just very satisfying to use in so many ways. It really is. But again, the steering, like the rest of the car, just feels as tight as a drum. And the suspension, by the way, that section of road there is awful. It is literally like the surface of the moon, if not worse. And yet there's no clonks, no rattles, nothing from the suspension that shouldn't be there. and it rides it very well indeed. You know, it's got exactly the right sort of ride setup for the handling it gives. It's not so harsh that it is unbearable. It's not so soft and wallowy that it just ponderously sort of lollops the corners. It's got a real keenness to the chassis, but also really wonderfully controlled ride on the car, you know, for the type of car it is, certainly. Brakes on the car are absolutely fantastic as well, very powerful. You know, when you hit the brake pedal, it's powerful. There's no pulsing, no vibrations coming back through the brake pedal. It's all in sort of fine fettle there. Here I am at speed, you know, the legal limit, 60 miles an hour, still incredibly quiet in here. Finally coming inside, I mean, they're lovely interiors. I love them. You know, I am biased because I just happen to think it's a particularly lovely design, because it is a bit different. It's not the same old, but it is actually. It still has this sort of centre stack and all that kind of stuff. But it's just the way they've detailed it, the way you sit in the car, and you do feel very snug in it in terms of kind of, it feels very intimate with all the stuff that's going on around you. But what Lexus do absolutely brilliantly is kind of the labelling of all the dials and everything else. Makes you feel as though you are in something, you know, very, very, you know, high spec and, you know, beautifully put together as well, by the way. Sat nav, as you can see up there, working perfectly. You've got dual zone climate control system, so you can have different temperatures side to side if you so wish. And again, it's pumping out absolutely ice cold air. It's quite a warm, muggy day today, actually, which I love because we've been through a long winter as far as I can tell. Heated seats again, checked, all working. Then you've got this wonderfully sort of small, diminutive sort of dash design. You can sort of press a little button here, make it waft over to give you more information. But what I like less is definitely more. You know, you've got the information given, doesn't overwhelm, but the detailing is so interesting. It's so well done. And I said, you know, when you put it into sport mode, you get the rev counter as well. But it's just a wonderful design, because it is so different to the normal types of dashes you get out there, which basically just variations on the same theme. But at least they've tried to be different, but for the right reasons. You know, it is to the benefit of the driver and the operator. Driving position is absolutely fantastic. Seating position is wonderful, incredibly comfortable. Cars to drive. As I said, I've done some big trips in these cars and come out absolutely fresh as a daisy on the other side. As I said at the start of the video, the point of it, as brief as it might well be, just to show this car operating, to feedback on anything, but there's nothing at all. It drives absolutely beautifully.